Hey guys, Matt, channel number 943. Today in this video we're going to be taking a look at this Santa Fe Texas type steam locomotive from MTH. To start off this product review, I'm first going to go ahead and give you guys a brief history on the engine. Now, I want to put out as a little bit of a disclaimer that I am in no way an expert on the Santa Fe Texas type steam engine or any steam engine for that matter, so if I get something wrong, please feel free to drop me a line and let me know about it. The Santa Fe had a total of 37 of these 210-4 Texas type steam locomotives. They were built by Baldwin over a 25-year period spanning from 1919 to 1944. Of the 37 locomotives that Santa Fe had, they were built in 4 different production runs in 4 different class types. They had the 3800 class, which is only road number 3829, built in 1919. They had the 5000 class, which was the second class, containing only road number 5000, which was built in 1930. They had the 5001 class, which included road numbers 5001 to 5010, built in 1938. And finally, the 5011 class, which included road numbers 5011 to 5035, which was built in 1944. Of those 37 locomotives that Santa Fe had, 5 of them are currently preserved. Road number 5000 is preserved. Road number 5011 is preserved. 5017, 5021, and 5030 are all preserved. Of course, the Santa Fe was not the only railroad to have the 210-4 type steam locomotive. The Bessemer and Lake Erie had some. The Duluth-Mesabi and Iron Range had some. The Canadian Pacific, the Central Vermont, the Chesapeake and Ohio, Chicago, Burlington, and Quincy, Chicago Great Western, Pennsylvania, and Texas and Pacific all had some. So that was just a very brief history lesson on the 210-4 steam locomotive. In the description of this video, I will link the page where I got the history from, so you guys can get a better idea of the uses outside of the United States, like in South America and other areas of the world that use these type of steam locomotives in their fleets. So now with the history taken care of, let's go ahead and take a look at MTH's model of this very nicely done Texas. So let's start off this review by giving some general stats and info on the engine. The engine's length is right around 32 inches. The combined weight of the engine and the tender is right around 15 pounds. And the minimum recommended curve for this engine is 072. Now you may not think that. You might be thinking, this ain't that big of an engine. Well, 32 inches really big, and so I would recommend definitely going with 072. We use 072 exclusively on our layout. You could be a daredevil, I guess, and try it on something like 063 or 054, but if it works, you'll have a lot of wicked overhang that may produce problems on your layout, but my recommendation would be to go with 072 or wider. So now let's take a look at the details on this engine, and a little later we will power it up and run it. Okay, so let's go ahead and start off with some of the detail. Now I have a flashlight on. Since this engine is black, it's a little easier to see the detail. On the pilot, you have a very nicely done cow catcher assembly. You have a dummy scale coupler, which can be replaced with a dummy O-gauge coupler if you want to double head the engine. You just take out one screw to remove the scale coupler and then install the dummy O-scale coupler. Then you can double head this engine with whatever you want. You also have a movable coupler cut bar up here. Now on this end here, it's kind of latched, so you have to do this and then you can move it up and down as you please. Coming up a little bit more on the engine, you have a lot of very nicely done air tank and air cylinder detail, which looks really good. I'm talking about this stuff here, which all looks really, really nice. Moving up, you have some very nicely done step detail right here, as well as the start of the handrail, which runs the length of the boiler. You have a headlight right here, and it does not have number markings on the side of it, which is kind of a little bit of a downer. Kind of wish it had that, but it doesn't. You have the 5012 road number, which may be a little hard to see on the video, but it's there. You have operating class lamps right here. You would have a bell right here, but ours is broke, but you would have a bell right here. And then the front of the boiler, which is called the smoke box, comes out. You can see the light for the headlight, and it's held on by a magnet. Moving down the side, the running gear is very nicely done, and this all looks fantastic when the engine is in motion. You have the handrail like I mentioned earlier. You have the throttle control, which is this right here. You've got some legible builder's plates right here, and then you have this very nicely done running board assembly. Now these little running plates may come off from time to time. They're just very lightly glued on from the factory, and you can see what's underneath them. It's this really bad gray and green kind of paint. Now you could fix this by painting this black, so the only like if these ever pop off, you just wouldn't get the safety tread detail, but you wouldn't see all that color. But these just kind of stick in there, but we should re-glue these, and eventually we will. Moving back towards the cab area, you have the ash pan area. Now this is all cast in, there is no like ash pan glow or none of that, and this piping here is all cast in, but it looks really good. Here's the injectors right here, and then on the outside of the cab you have a sunshade which is molded in. You have the ATNSF name, which this is a characteristic of Santa Fe engines. I really personally like this. It's nice not to have the road number on the engine. I don't know, it just looks really cool like this. It's something that's different. And then you have a crew guy in there. And now the road number is on the front of the engine like I described earlier with the number plate, and there are number boards. I'll share those in just a minute. But the large number is actually on the tender. I know it's probably hard to see the inside of the cab from this angle, but I'm going to try my best to show you it anyway. Right here you have the electrical tether pin. Now this connects to the tether that's on the other side of the tender, and that connects the electronics from the engine to the tender. Now inside of the cab here, like I said, you got the two crew guys. You have a leaded firebox glow, which is really cool. I think that's a nice feature. You have some gauges here. Now these don't light up, but they are painted, which is nice. You got a very nicely done backhead, a lot of very nice piping. It's really hard to see from this angle. I should have moved the camera, sorry about that. But really nice piping work. You also have a soft yellow cab light. Now on ours, which is really cool, the cab light actually shuts off when it moves. Only in forward, but it's really cool looking. My video here will not be able to capture it, but and it's something unique to ours. I don't know what's going on with it. It's really cool to see it though. I'm not calling it a defect because I think it's really interesting, but it's really cool. So that's something kind of cool that's interesting to me at least. Here's a quick look at the top of the engine. On top of the engine up front, I believe this is a water heater. I'm not exactly sure. If any of you guys know, please let me know. You have a smoke stack right here, and this does have an operating smoke unit inside it. And to fill it, you just pour your fluid directly down the stack. You have these really cool, interesting triangle-shaped number boards, which are really cool. They have 5012 on either side here and on the triangle part, which is nice. And right here, you have a hand-painted whistle. Moving back a little bit, you have the steam dome right here, which is really nicely done. You also have the road number on the side, 5012 in white, which is really nice. Then you have the sand dome right here. And then this leads on to this really cool pipe work that extends all through here. Looks really good. You got some pop-off valves right here. Then you have the dynamo generator right here. I really like this pipe detail. It looks really, really nice. And finally, on top of the cab, you have two cast-in roof vents. These do not open, but they sure look nice. So that takes care of the engine. Now let's take a look at the tender. Up front on the tender, you have the electrical tether. Now this connects into a reciprocal on the front of the engine to allow the electronics in the tender to communicate with the engine. Up here you got some oil area for loading the oil into the top of the tender here. Now again, there's no coal because this is an oil burner. Coming up on top, you have these little handrails here, which are very nice, and then you have these molded in hatches. Now these would be open to put the oil, to feed the oil inside the tender. And finally on the back you have 4 split water hatches. You've got 2 here and 2 here. Now these do not open. And finally on the side you have the Santa Fe name with the road number 5012 on the side, which looks fantastic. And finally on the back you have an operating reverse light, a ladder, with the road number 5012 on the back, and then you have an operating protocoupler which can be thrown using your MTH command control system. Okay, so that takes care of the review of this engine. Now we'll go ahead and power it up and give it a listen. Real quick before I do so, I just want to give you my favorite feature in the engine. My pick for my favorite feature is the whistle. It sounds really, really nice. This is not the only engine to have this specific whistle sound in here, although it sounds really good. And it should be noted that this sound set that's in this engine was not the original factory sound set that came with this engine. The whistle that was in this before was out of the old FEF Union Pacific, and we got it changed to what engine I don't know. I'm believing it's a Hudson, because I was looking up the history of the Santa Fe passenger trains, and the name of this passenger train in the remote when you hit the button is called the Chief. And I was looking to see if the Santa Fe used the 210-4 like you see here to pull the train. They didn't. They used the Hudson, so I'm believing it's a Hudson sound set. I'm not exactly sure, but I don't really care. It really sounds good. So, got my track power on. We're all set. Have my MTH remote, and I'm gonna go ahead and start it by using the extended startup sequence, which is activated by pressing this button right here.
Down 30 inches.
Okay, now the engine's fired up. Here's the whistle. Really nice sound of whistle there. Here's the bell. Here's some of the crew truck sounds. That's the forward signal. So now let's hook some passenger cars up and run it. Okay, so we're all set and ready to go. I got some MTH Premier Santa Fe passenger cars behind this engine, and let's go. Here's the MTH passenger freight announcement sequence.
Welcome to Locomotive. Watch your step, please. Watch your step. Have a nice day. Thank you. Acting. Welcome aboard. Ticketed passengers only. Let me help you with your baggage. Order. Thank you. Down 20, back 3. Train number 19. The Chief with continuing services to Los Angeles. Pardon me. Step right this way. Let's get that baggage loaded. Watch your step, please. Watch your step. Thank you. All aboard. Watch your step, please. Watch your step. Captain's giving us the sidewalk signal.
Well, anyway guys, that about wraps up for this review. This engine is very, very nice. It's probably one of, if not my favorite, MTH Protosonic 2 steamer we have. This engine is just fantastic. If you're interested in purchasing one, if you can find one, you would really like it. The retail on these things is just around $1,100. Really, really nice engine and just fantastic. So that's going to wrap it up for me in this one. I'm Matt, train number 943. We'll see you later.